All right, welcome to this video. This video right here should be perfect. We should be done with frames dropping. We should be done with audio being out of sync. This should be as it was prior. Now, if that is the case for you, please comment down below. Perfect. And do me a favor, drop me a like, just in acknowledgement of this. This has taken some time to fix. I want to say thank you to Ben and a couple of people who were in the comment section over the past couple of days helping me fix this. I want to say thank you to everyone who was testing this with me on a live stream yesterday. I appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. Now, in today's video, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing a lot about HMRC having new powers to go into your account, take money if you owe money on taxes, so on and so forth. So much so that I was a little bit skeptical. I'm thinking, would they really do that? Like, surely not. We're going to answer that question here today. And if it is the case that they can do it, how does it work? What do you need to know? That's the topic of conversation. Now, before we get started, I know that looking at my analytics, there's still a large number of you that are not subscribed to the channel. So do me a favor. If you get value from this particular video, you like it, you enjoy it, you think, okay, he's talking some good stuff, do me a favor and subscribe and hit that notification bell. These are the type of videos that I do on the channel in a bid to help you understand what's happening and how to prepare and what you need to do. But if you hit the notification bell, you'll also get notified when I upload other videos as well. Right, shall we jump into it? Let's go to an article first and foremost, because this is one that I think is important to cover. Now, this article is in the Telegraph, and actually, this article is from April of 2025. So this is a good few months old right now. This is something that perhaps we have missed and not necessarily paid attention to. But this is the headline: Why HMRC's plot to raid your bank account spells disaster. The taxman's new debt collection powers could create a tyranny of the state. But let's just dive in. MPs have accused HMRC of putting savers at risk over new plans to automatically seize unpaid taxes from bank accounts. Account holders who fail to pay their tax debts face having their bank accounts raided by HMRC under new powers confirmed after the spring statement. Now, this is something that I missed completely, and as always, because the spring statement is always so dense. And this is probably one of those things that goes under the radar purely because there's so much that is put out there in terms of we might do this or we might do that, that things like this go under the radar. These are powers that have already been granted to HMRC. So if you owe tax or you've claimed more in benefits and they want their money back, they can go into your bank account and go and get that money. Now, it continues to say, however, MPs and tax advisors accuse the tax authority of going a step too far in its attempts to close the tax gap. Others sounded the alarm over the risk of errors and warned savers would have to go to court to reclaim incorrectly seized payments. You would have to go to court to claim incorrectly seized payments if there is, for example, an error, which we know HMRC makes a ton of errors. Now, when I was reading this, I was thinking, okay, so is this new? Or has this been something that is an adaptation of an existing bill of powers, right? And so I went onto the .gov website, and let me just show you what I found. So this right here is a policy paper from 2015. Debt recovery of HMRC customs debts from debtors' bank and building society accounts. And it gives a little bit of information here about how it actually works and who's impacted. So individuals, businesses who have debts over £1,000 payable to the commissioners of revenue and customs under or by virtue of an enactment or under a contract settlement. It says here the measure will allow HMRC to secure payment of tax and tax credit debts directly from debtors' bank and building society accounts that have a minimum aggregate credit of £5,000. Additional safeguards have been included following the consultation. Now, this obviously, and it gives the background here, this measure was announced at the budget 2014. 2014, this was announced. A consultation document was published 6th of May 2014. The formal consultation was open on the 29th of July 2014. So this is something that has been around for some time. Now, I don't know whether this has been used to a great extent. I don't know. You may be watching this thinking, actually, I know someone who was subject to this. But this is very reminiscent of how things work in America. The IRS, which is their equivalent of HMRC, has the ability, if you owe them money, they'll go into your account, they'll take money. People are scared of the IRS because of that fact. So the fact that this is now something that potentially could happen here in the UK is just absolutely frightening. Now, why are they doing this? Obviously, we know where the economics picture and what that economic picture looks like. We are struggling. We are in dire straits. We've got a £50 billion black hole. So the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, clearly has to find money from somewhere to be able to fill that plug. And I think their reasoning behind this is, well, there are lots of people that owe money to us that aren't paying the correct amount of taxes or are abusing the benefit system, maybe claiming too many benefits. This will be a way for us to be able to sidestep a lot of the red tape that would have prevented us previously and allow us to go directly into these people's bank accounts and actually take money that they owe us. Now, do you want to see how this actually works in practice? Because it's actually quite scary when you get into the detail. Here we go. So this is from Crunch, okay? And it says here, HMRC's scary powers. Can they really raid your bank account? Let's go down here. And they say here, the answer, worryingly, is yes. However, HMRC must satisfy certain conditions before they can go dipping into your savings. So how does it work? If you owe HMRC tax, like always, they will recover it. They will try to recover it. This is usually in form of letters outlining how much is owed, when you must pay, and the penalties you will receive if you fail to settle your debt. If after being contacted 4 times you don't stump up the cash HMRC thinks you owe, then they can potentially use their new bank account draining powers. You must owe £1,000 in unpaid tax or tax credit overpayments, and HMRC must leave at least £5,000 across your bank accounts once the money is taken. Now, in my head, I'm thinking about, low-income households potentially, because if you're in a situation where you're on a low-income household, you've somehow, I don't know, overclaimed on tax credits or whatever it might be, and they tell you, well, you owe us £2,000, can they just go into your account and take money? Well, technically, yes, but no, because they have to leave a balance of at least £5,000. So I think there's a little bit of a protection for the most vulnerable in society. You let me know whether you agree on this. But the fact that they can do this is still pretty scary. But listen to this. If these conditions are met and you've ignored at least 4 payment demands, HMRC can take the money directly from your accounts without needing court or tribunal approval. And I think that right there is the most scary thing of all. No court approval, no tribunal approval. They deem that you owe us money. They've written to you maybe 4 or 5 times. And look, this could happen to anyone, and anyone could fall victim to this. Let's just say, for example, I'm in Dubai right now, right? If, for example, they say, you owe us money, and they sent a letter to my UK address, but I'm not there, I've not received the letter, they can just go into my account, take money. Like, is this an overreach? I mean, people are calling this draconian. I would tend to agree. But the fact that they don't need any court approval or tribunal approval is pretty scary. So you've got to be on top of this stuff. Now, could HMRC always raid your bank account? No. Before this power was introduced, recovering debts like this would usually involve the courts. But that safeguard no longer applies. In that situation, the debtor then has 14 days to get in contact and set up a repayment plan in order to recover their funds. If they fail to do so, HMRC will keep all the money and consider your debt settled. So, look, even though we went back to 2015 and we could see that in that policy paper, there were still protection mechanisms in place. It feels like what's happened since the spring statement is those protection mechanisms, that preventive measure where they had to go to the court, that's gone. So it gives them full carte blanche to basically do what they want. Now, this goes on to kind of just talk about what happens if it's in a joint account. Now, yes, they can take money from a joint account. So, Mr. and Mrs., let's just say, Mr., you owe 1,500 quid, for example, and you've got a joint account with Mrs., they can still recover money from a joint account, but they have to do it in proportionality. Which means that in a joint account, they would only be able to deduct maybe something like 750 quid of the 1,500 quid that you owe them from that account. And obviously, they'll have to introduce other measures to be able to recover the remaining 750. But this is what the article says. Yes, they can take money from the account. Joint accounts, they're not off limits. This means that even if you hold a joint account with someone else, HMRC can freeze and remove funds on a proportional basis. So again, 50-50, because it's a joint account. It would be wrong for them to take the full 1,500 when Mrs. doesn't owe them any money at all. Let's see what else they say here. Now, can you appeal? I think this is really, really important. Now, you have up to 30 days to dispute the action or request a payment plan. It can be challenged by county court if you believe the debt is wrong, you weren't properly notified, or you're a joint account holder being affected. Act quickly and keep all evidence, and keeping all evidence is key to appealing a DRD notice from HMRC. Now, how many people want to go to court, and how many people actually want to go to court against HMRC? I mean, to a certain extent, I think a lot of people will be reluctant to. And unless you're looking at vast sums of money, you probably won't. And I think HMRC will kind of be aware of this, be like, well, you're going to take HMRC to court. Do you really want to incur that cost and go through that stress, go through that worry and battle against HMRC? You may not have the money to do this in the first place. So, you know, you could appeal it and there is an appeal process in place. But I wonder if this actually gets put into force and is actually acted upon, how many people would actually challenge this in court and actually go through the rigmarole of challenging this in court? Now, the article goes on and points out a couple of things that I've highlighted here, right? This wasn't the only overzealous tax collection power announced in past budgets either. HMRC can now take money from people simply if they think they may be using illegal tax avoidance methods. Now, who is to judge and decide what is illegal tax avoidance methods? What could potentially become illegal tax avoidance methods in the future? But even if they think it, they don't need proof. Even if they think it, they can use their powers to recover taxes. This means they keep the cash until legal proceedings are over, taking it back with interest if they lose. So they will pay it back to you if they lose, but you've got to go through court. You've got to go through the rigmarole. You've got to incur the cost, right? They'll pay it back in interest, but they'll take and keep the cash until legal proceedings are over. And if you consider, courts aren't necessarily quick in the UK. This could be months. This could be potentially years. These rules will apply retrospectively. This is the crazy bit. To the existing 65,000 outstanding tax avoidance cases. Again, no magistrate, no judges required, meaning HMRC has largely increased its tax collection powers with no independent safeguards or checks. That is absolutely bonkers. It goes on to say here, one of the biggest worries is how HMRC will handle these tools. They don't exactly have a great record when it comes to accuracy, whether it's losing physical records or allocating millions of people with the wrong tax code. HMR has shown it makes mistakes and does so often. For example, it's thought that 1 in 3 people have the wrong tax code and don't even know it. According to HMRC, 3.5 million people paid too much tax in their review. So if you're, and I've been on the receiving end where I had the incorrect tax code for 2 years when I was in one of my jobs. like 10 years ago. Didn't even know because I trusted them to give me the correct tax code. So in those situations where, for example, you are allocated the wrong tax code through no fault of your own, and then they discover and realize, well, hang on a second, this person's on the wrong tax code. This person owes us £10,000. If you haven't got £10,000 cash to stump up immediately, and you've missed communications, you've missed all of the stuff that we discussed here, can they just go take money out of your account? I mean, this is a huge overreach. This is a huge. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, but I think that this is a step in the wrong direction. I know that they need to introduce efficiencies. I know that, but how many people? It will be interesting to see. Actually, this is a question. It will be interesting to see how many people across the different earning brackets this will be enacted on. So, how many people will they go after who perhaps have got, I don't know, they've used or utilized illegal tax loopholes like we have seen in the past that may still have outstanding taxes due? I wonder how many of those people will get this power used against them. Or will it just be for the middle class, lower class population of the UK? Because I think they will deem that as lower hanging fruit. I don't know. You let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I think this is pretty nuts. And as we find out more, we'll report on it as and when. But yeah, I can't wait to read the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in a bit. Cheers.